I'm Dream Queen, and you've been up and rolling with me in the cab. And thank you so much for rolling. Really though, I'm not playing. Takes a lot of bravery to be up in this cab, okay? Takes a lot of bravery. So, we're in the book club now. And we are reading, out of order apparently, from Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet. For those of you who are regular listeners and were here with us last couple of weeks, you know I got my papers mixed up. My printouts, they just flew out the paper. I guess I didn't have the little holder in, and they just all flew out. And I picked up talking after teaching instead of friendship, which came in the middle. And it just made sense to me. Now, I do have several copies of the actual book, and I also go to the PDF, which you can find on In the Cab Radio under Book Club Resources if you're just tuning in. Find free versions of the book because it's in public domain. It's 100 years old. And I print them out, you know, so I can write on it and use my highlighter and make my notes. And so I did not cross-check several more times. And anyway, I think that's the way it should have been, though. I really do. So, Kahlil Gibran, for those of you who are new to the book or don't know about it, we're with Al-Mustafa. He is the prophet. And he has been exiled into the land of Orphalese for 12 years. We don't know how old he is, where he's from. We just know his ship is coming and to take him back to his homeland, and it's time for him to go. And he's been there as a kind of a hermit, watching everybody's lives and, you know, interacting. And he's on his way back down to the seawall, to his ship, and people are coming out. And I like to just flip back to this first chapter since I'm repeating it for people who are new. And I just do like a little page open and see where it brings me about what we need to hear to be reminded of where we're at. Let's see. How about page 8? No stranger are you among us. Oh, here, let's read this. The elders of the city stood forth and said, Go not yet away from us. A noontide have you been in our twilight, and your youth has given us dreams to dream. If y'all were here last week, we talked about Neptune and dreaming. This is why I trust the page flip. No stranger are you among us, nor a guest, but our son and our dearly beloved. What if we talk to immigrants like that, y'all? What if we talk to immigrants like, no stranger are you among us, nor a guest, but our son and our dearly beloved. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get with this thing called life. That's from Prince. That's different. Electric word life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. We are here together for our entire lives to trip. We don't have the right to take that away from anyone else. What if we treated each other like we were each other's beloved? Suffer not yet our eyes to hunger for your face. And the priests and the priestesses said unto him, Let not the waves of the sea separate us now, and the years you have spent in our midst become a memory. You have walked among us a spirit, and your shadow has been a light upon our faces. Much have we loved you, but speechless was our love, and with veils it has been veiled. Now it cries aloud to you, and would stand revealed before you. And ever has it been that love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Now, this is just from page 8 and 9 of the first chapter called The Coming of the Ship. Does that sound like anything to y'all? To me, it sounds like the people at these Republican town halls. To me, it sounds like the people who sat by, maybe voted for a xenophobe, for a whole xenophobic regime. And now that they're neighbors who maybe provide services in their neighborhood. You know, their nail technician, maybe they're a handyman, maybe they're, the nanny of the family up the street, but they would see you and, you're walking your dog out and you smile and you just learned all about her family from Guatemala. No, not them. I didn't mean for you to take them. Not that other person. He's legal. No, not my doctor. She's a legal citizen. Take those other ones. But did you tell anybody while they were here in your midst serving you how much you appreciated them? Or was your love veiled because you thought maybe they're legal? It's all illegal, y'all. What's happening? Everybody here is here for a reason. Why would someone leave their homeland to come here where they don't know nobody? They just looking for an opportunity. And maybe, they had to get out fast and they didn't come here because of war, because of our CIA. And they asking for help and refuge. But not them. Not them. So I hold that the Prophet is a book about many things. And a deep subject is immigration. It's one of quite a few subjects. Love and acceptance and humility are also subjects of this book. This is about friendship. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." Oh, so anyway, he gets down to the water and they're asking him like that to stay. And then he's like, "I can't stay." I can't stay. I gotta go. And then Almitra, the priestess, comes out and she says, "Okay, we're not going to hold you, but can you please tell us what you've witnessed of us before you go?" And he says, "Okay." And so people come out and they start asking him to speak on a subject. And that's where we're at. Okay. And the youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field, which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the I. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live. For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. Kahlil Gibran, the prophet, on friendship. So, this is a time. This is quite the time we live in. And I must say that it has put a strain on my friendships. The times. And I believe that many people are feeling this. Because I've seen and heard and been told the strain. 2 weeks ago, I talked about how I thought segregation would be returning. Because we lost the capacity or are quickly diminishing in capacity to hold space for one another. I didn't say that eloquently back then. I was on one on that show. You can find a reel. I'm a cartoon in it on Instagram. It's not on the YouTube. It's just an Instagram moment. A clip from that show. My mom had been saying it to me. You know, my mom was born in 1952. And she came of age during the civil rights movement in Washington, D.C. I speak on this show and hold a place for elders on this show who want to share their experiences of our not so distant past. With the advent of movies, AI, CGI, very talented writers, CIA, PSYOPs, and the removal, really the never bringing of accurate history into the classroom or equity, we've been lulled into the net of revisionist history and a false sense of comfort, of safety. That's why they don't want you to wake up. Because it's easier to control you while you're asleep, when you don't know what's going on. I don't think most people have a dark heart, but I think you have to be held responsible for your clinging to ignorance. Because people are suffering very badly. Very, very badly. They're very, very bad suffering. I cannot believe the audacity of the lies that come out every day that we are still tolerating. I cannot believe it. Did anybody think we'd be sitting here at the depths that we are sitting at? We were here before. He already called the lying New York Times back in 2017. Why do we have to do it again? And I'm going to come on that. I'm going to come to that point. I think next week I might touch on it because I just did a little flipping while the song was playing. And I'm realizing that if we stay on track, the next chapter to read in here is on time. And there's a line in the poem on time. You would adjust your conduct and even direct the course of your spirit according to hours and seasons. We'll put that into context when we read the whole poem. But what I saw in that is when we bring it back to the metaphysical. I love the metaphysical. Hi, science. Come on in. But there are people who have the idea that time is happening not in a linear fashion, but all the experiences that we are having in our mind, maybe they're happening all at once. And I thought, maybe history's not repeating. Maybe this is just what we're doing. Maybe we're just still doing what we were doing because we're doing it. I don't know. I need the extra time to put it all together. If you can just Take one more hit from the bong and see if you get me here. Spirit told me to stay clear. I gotta stay more clear lately, so I can get the channel messages out right. But I still get tongue-tied in this Mercury retrograde, so I don't even know how to say what I'm trying to say, except those of you who might get it. And send me a DM, man. I'm lonely. Send me a note. InTheCabRadio@gmail if you like email, or on the socials. But be nice. Don't make me have my coffee and incinerate. I just want to be nice and try to understand what's going on, and let's get allied. So, the idea that it's a civil war now because somehow on some timeline we're still doing this. It's still 1800. It is in our behavior. So, talking back about friendship, I see people, the segregation. So, right, here we go. So, I was like, my mom is saying, Jada, watch out. And they're going to want this and it's going to happen. And I'm like, no, but she was there. And I told Lil Queen Trashmouth, I shared that with y'all last week, and I'm like, they take down a DEI, that's fine. Words mean nothing. It's about actions. Now, it's when they tell us that we can't go somewhere that we got a real problem. Well, then the president came out and he just said, we're going to stop the whole government contracting desegregation thing. Like, we don't care if you segregate your workers. We don't care if you discriminate. You still get the contract. Matter of fact, we're going to just take down the fact that anybody who's not white contributed to our society at all. And we actually would prefer it if you just come like this. So he did it. For federal contractors, there's no more protection. No more. And I think what it's about is repealing the Civil Rights Act. And you can see all this stuff in Project 2025. And people say, well, how did we get here? And I'm like, we never were not here. We never were not here. That old Southern money, all of America, the industry, when we talk about capitalism, the structure was built by settler colonialists who got their money through apartheid and exploitation of labor, and that's the capital they moved amongst each other. Now, this country is built from forced labor and stolen land, violated treaties, murder. And the materials, lumber and all that, is clear cut the forest. Okay? That's what they're doing now. You worry about the national parks? It's so they can drill, baby, drill. Okay? We never were not here. What we were able to do, what some halfway decent politicians were able to do, was put some laws in place to protect some national forests, some people's lives, But there's still a very, 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 very rich group of people who are fighting for control of this country. They are clear that the war is not over. They are clear on that. But those of us in a false sense of security and rest on things like DEI on a piece of paper while you go to work, and you still have people who will suppress your discrimination claims, who will ice you out in meetings, who will not support your ideas, who will put on a dress code or a hair code or, all of these things that still were enacted discrimination, even though on paper we don't discriminate. They will humiliate you in the office space. Women and people of color out there, I know you feel me. So that's why I was like, okay, we're just going to pull the veil off of everything. So it never was not. We were never not here. America's always been fighting this. It's just some people we're allowed to be a little more detached. So how does this relate to friendship, Jada? It's about safety. It's about feeling safe. Segregation now, resegregation in government. It's the first place. A lot of people of color, a lot of vets, a lot of women relied on government jobs. It's true. Because of the Civil Rights Act, the government was the first place to really have to put these in and set an example and hire people. Private businesses were not complying. And we talked about that during the Martin Luther King segments. When the Civil Rights Act is enacted and Brown versus the Board of Education, declared that we have to desegregate schools, integrate schools, it was years before some school districts would comply. And that's when you had pictures and the things of these black youth being assaulted. Okay? I'm just going to say colored, because I want all y'all to know that it ain't just black people. All my brown people, Asian people, Native American people, I'm going to tell you, even Hispanic Europeans. This white America, this regime, there's a certain demographic that they're supporting right now. And we have to look at it. And we have to keep each other safe for real. So when my white friends or like my black friends don't accept my allyship right now, I feel alienated. I'm so sad. My black friends only want to talk to other black people right now. We have to allow that grieving. We have to allow for other space, like only spaces. Because when you hear a lot of people say, well, black women, especially black people, are tired. They're off. They're not working. No, we're working. We are. I love the people on the internet that's like, we're not working. We tired. Well, what you doing on the internet? Go to bed. You on the internet still putting out videos how mad you are. You so mad you need a break. Then go have the break. But we know we can't rest because our safety depends on your enlightenment. Some of us, anyway. So on Bell Hooks, I said I would touch on the Bell Hooks. It's all about love, new visions. It's published in 2000. HarperCollins. Chapter 8 opens with a quote from Parker Palmer. Community cannot take root in a divided life. Long before community assumes external shape and form, it must be present as a seed in the undivided self. Only as we are in communion with ourselves can we find community with others. What's that got to do with anything? Why is self-awareness so important? Because if you don't know yourself, then you go outside acting and saying whatever. I'm just going to put it bluntly and plainly like that. That's the most basic way I can say it. We have to figure out where our own BS comes from, so we're not projecting it on the other people and then expecting them to take it on. I have a problem as a highly perceptive being, and we all have the ability to be highly perceptive beings, but many choose not to. Just like in the Matrix, you choose. You choose. And some people choose to stay asleep. Some people, like the guy who was like the Fed, the undercover, the guy who was the turncoat, and he was like, I want to eat my steaks. And he threw them under the bus. Some people wake up, then they don't like it. They don't want oatmeal, and then they go back to sleep, and then they try to drag people with them. But to really have meaningful relationships with people, we have to confront our own BS. or else the vibe. So that's it, the vibe, right? So we're all feeling beings. And you can't put it on people and pretend. So the other topics in this chapter are solitude. And when we're talking about friendship and the rift between, I don't want to, race is a construct, y'all. But since it's a construct that's created here in America and we taught to the rest of the world, I cannot stress enough. We are not like Hitler. Hitler was like us. If you learn that Hitler appreciated how America was doing things during colonialism and Jim Crow, Reconstructionist America, he used that in the work he did, and he gave credit in Mein Kampf. So let's go. Take credit where credit is due. If you want to be entitled to this country, then take credit and be like, yeah, we did that. And we still doing that because I want to go to the beach in Israel. So when your friends break off to be with other black people or other Native American people and they can't talk to you right now because you don't understand how we got here and they need a break, and they need to go to solitude and you need to go to solitude, and there's a lot of space for commiserating with your other venture capitalist friends or, why do they hate my Tesla? But don't call people mentally ill. It is not, we're all mentally ill at this point, what we're dealing with. We all have to get some help. But really, not just for being mad. Not just for trying to make a revolution that will free some people from forced imprisonment while they're being lied to their face about who they are, about who the regime is. So we all go into our solitude and we figure out ourselves and what we really believe and why we're invested in a system that will kill everybody. What makes me think that it might not kill me? Who am I asking to protect me? We all have to ask each other the question. Are you asking the police to protect you? Are you asking God to protect you? Are you asking your ancestors to protect you? Are you asking your neighbors to protect you? Are you asking a black woman to protect you, stand in front of you, and do the homework for you? All the same books are out there. But I'm doing it. I'm here in the book club. Take the solitude. Don't and give each other grace. That's involved in friendship. There's so much here that I have underlined, and I just, as we do, go off the rails and off the road. But Hooks here she's got several quotes from a lot of different thinkers and psychologists and writers. Scott Peck, from his book The Different Drum, this is on page 129 of All About Love. In and through community lies the salvation of the world. Hooks writes, Peck defines community as the coming together of a group of individuals, quote, who have learned how to communicate honestly with each other, whose relationships go deeper than their masks of composure, and who have developed some significant commitment to rejoice together, mourn together, and to delight in each other and make others' conditions our own. It's not easy. Sometimes we have to grit our teeth and hold our hearts, clutch our pearls, as someone tells us uncomfortable truths about ourselves. And we squeeze the hilt of our swords as we want to be defensive against our loved one who is a witness. And it's hard to maintain these relationships. Hooks goes on in this chapter about how friendship is probably the first place that many of us learn real love, because we can choose our relationships and our friendships. And sometimes if we don't get love in our families of origin, then we seek that in other places in life. And as adults, we have power to choose our friends. Childhood, we try to have power, but that's also covered in this book. We don't always get it. And I realize that our friends can be more intimate than our romantic partnerships. And so it can be more painful when these friend connections come under strain. It can be devastating because the person that we have such a connection to, we can ignore red flags in friendships just like we ignore red flags in romantic relationships, because we seek community to avoid loneliness. And I will tell you personally, it's been a very hard year, probably 2 years, really a life, but definitely the past 2 years have been very challenging for me in my friendships as I grow, not only in awakening and learning about the world and accepting where we are as Americans. I have rose-colored glasses on too, y'all. As I learn who I am and put away people-pleasing, and I put away the fear of loneliness, and I embrace solitude and maturity, it's put some strain on my relationships, my friendships. And also, I know that if I'm going to stay on this planet and do my work, I got to push through this with the people where the effort is worth it. You know, sometimes we outgrow things. Sometimes we outgrow people. And we outgrow jobs, we outgrow clothes, we outgrow, all of the things. We can leave with love. We can leave with love and not just, that person just don't get it. And that's part of the learning. Let's see. I'm just going to let's go from page 1 to the end. I had a lot of things here marked that I wanted to share with you. Here, I'll say one thing here. It's just highlighted in pink. Realistically, being part of a loving community does not mean we will not face conflicts, betrayals, negative outcomes from positive actions, or bad things happening to good people. Love always allows us to confront these negative realities in a manner that is life-affirming and life-enhancing. Love allows us to confront these negative realities in a manner that is life-affirming and life-enhancing. That time just flew by. I'm going to leave us with some music here in just a moment. I want to tell you, please go to In the Cab Radio and look at All About Love, New Visions. We're getting somewhere. Bell hooks. Because when I'm talking about love, it's taking her all of these pages to really distill decades, if not a good century, 230 pages of writings and teachings on love. The woman has studied it and she's put it there for us to look at. It's not just an emotion. It's a verb. It's a practice. It's a practice that we do. We're all the beloved. We're all the beloved. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Let me catch you next time. You stay up. Every day we can just keep it moving forward. All right? Love you. In the Cab Radio is produced by Jada White, aka Dream Queen. Original theme music produced by
Baby Weekend Boys, and Icky Mac the Beat Jugular. Learn more at In the Cab Radio at Linktree. Thank you so much for tuning in.